and Logistics Program, Edinburgh Business School, Heriot-Watt University. So this is our workshop 2, which we will be focusing on another supply chain related topic relating to SMEs. So we have invited to a panel of experts into today's webinar. So if I go to the agenda of today's plan, first I'll be giving a brief introduction about the program, and then I'll be introducing the panel, and I'll be handing over the panel discussion about navigating supply chain challenges for SMEs during conflicted times to the moderator. So moving forward, if I just give an introduction about the supply chain management and logistic program in our university, this is entirely an online program. So the enrollment is open throughout of the year. So if anyone interested, they can enroll at any time. And this program, if someone is continually followed, then he or she can complete the program by 2.5 years. But it is entirely flexible. It depends on the time that you will be having. So you can do the program, follow the program according to your time available. And we have flexible arrangements for the fees. If you need any further information, you can have a chat with our admin team. They are very friendly and student-centered admin group, so they will be definitely helping you out. And we are targeting people from across the world who would like to engage in supply chain management and logistics, the professional students, whoever it is. And we have flexible arrangement for the lectures. So those are online lectures basically, and we have specific platforms that we are uploading all the lecture material, so it is easy to follow. And specifically, this program is accredited by CIPS and CILT. So there are benefits for the students for accessing the material, and they are getting the professional training, and there are a lot of things that you can get. So moving forward, if I move into the aims of today's workshop, we are aimed to provide a broader understanding of the evolving landscape of supply chain management and logistics. And also we want to foster collaborative learning community within the supply chain management and logistics discipline. That is why we have invited today the expert from the maritime logistic and supply chain and management to today's workshop. And also this workshop series serves as a platform for sharing knowledge, creation, and exchange of best practices. Moving forward, if I give you an introduction to today's panel, so we have Dr. Shereen Nassar and Captain Anuj Chopra and Mr. Sudesh Chaturvedi. So if I give a brief introduction to the speakers and the moderator, first Dr. Shereen. She is an associate professor and the global director of logistics studies, Heriot-Watt University. She is based in Dubai campus. She has earned her PhD from Bath University, UK. Dr. Shereen main research interests are sustainability and supply chain resilience. She has published several research papers and book chapters in the area related to social sustainable supply chain performance, sustainable maritime logistics, supply chain information security, contemporary disruptive business applications of blockchain technology, and smart cities. And there are so many other titles under the discipline. And when I come to Captain Anuj Chopra, so these experts are having long profile, which I'm trying to compress it to a manageable content. Captain Anuj is a globally recognized maritime executive, enterprise risk manager, big data advocate, and over 3 decades of experience forging strategic client relationships in maritime industry. He is a co-founder of ESGPlus LLC, a Texas-based consultancy company, and he is a founder of Maritime ESG Middle East Project Management LLC in Dubai. and vice president in Americas at Right Ship for a decade. And he was the president of Anglo-Eastern Houston LSC, and also he is a well qualified professional with a Commonwealth Extra Master's certificate in competency shipping management qualification from IIM India, and he also has ACCIO certification in teaching and learning. And also, Captain Chopra is a well-known speaker, author, and trainer in ESG maritime sustainability, particularly in ESG 101, 201, and 301, tailored for maritime industry. He was the president of the Industry Advisory Board for the Supply Chain and Logistics Technology Program at the University of Houston, where he remains as adjunct professor at the Cullen College of Engineering, USA. When it is come to Mr. Sudesh, he is a managing director in Gulf Agency Company Kuwait Limited. He is a distinguished maritime and logistic professional with over 30 years of experience across the Middle East and South Asia. He is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, currently serves as the managing director at GAC Kuwait. Sudesh is a member of AmChem Kuwait Logistic Focus Group, a private sector initiative focused on enhancing Kuwait logistic framework. He is also associated with Kuwait Shipping Agents Association, supporting collaborative efforts in regulatory and operational improvements. His previous voluntary arrangements include leadership roles with the Dubai Shipping Agents Association and the National Association of Freight and Logistics. He currently serves as the voluntary leadership capacity with the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers Middle East chapter, promoting professional standards and education in maritime sector. So I think we have to have a separate session with Anuj and Sudesh talking about maritime logistics. But anyway, today's focus is about SMEs, and we are talking under three themes. First, geographical sanction and tariff disruption, which is very current in the today's context, and also sustainability and regulatory pressure, and also the theme three is about digitalization. So from this point onwards, I'll be handing over the session to Dr. Shereen to continue with the discussion with our experts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nilakshi, for the introduction to the panel and the speakers. So as you mentioned, our focus in this panel is to discuss the challenges, supply chain challenges faced by small and medium-sized enterprises during conflicted times. So if I may provide some overview or background of the topic before we start the questions. So we can see that the global supply chain is currently facing unprecedented challenges that significantly impact the small and medium-sized enterprises. Major geopolitical shifts, sanctions, sustainability, and ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance pressure, net zero plans, and the push for digitization, which are no longer just background noise in this ecosystem. They are really actively reshaping trade flows and disrupting logistics operations and influencing financial strategies for SMEs. So to thrive in this volatile landscape, SMEs need access to critical insights, strategic foresight, and collaborative opportunities. And this exclusive networking event today will bring together a distinguished panel, Anuj and Sudesh, with great industry experience in this field, and as thought leaders and industry experts, they can address with us today these pressing issues. Participants today will gain valuable knowledge on navigating the complexities of supply chain management, exploring how to implement sustainable practices, leverage digital tools, and adapt to changing market conditions. As Nilakshi mentioned, we'll cover in this panel different themes We start with the first theme on geopolitical sanction and tariff disruption. So my question will be first to Anuj, and obviously we welcome input from both our speakers in each of the questions. We'll start with Anuj asking about how are current geopolitical tensions affecting trade routes and logistics for SMEs. Over to you, Anuj.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dr. Shereen. Thank you, Dr. Nilakshi. Very grateful to Heriot-Watt University to host this webinar and this discussion. And I'm honored to be on the same panel as Sudesh, very eminent and accomplished professional. So just try to set the background of what's happening today. And being based in Dubai at the moment, I thought UAE would be an interesting background to look at. At this time, there are about 600,000 small and medium enterprises in UAE. That is about 94% of all companies in UAE. So what we're trying to portray is that there's a very large number of SMEs who really drive the economy. And where GDP is concerned, they equate to roughly around 50% of the GDP. Of these SMEs, nearly 71% are micro enterprises. So they are all entrepreneurs trying to establish themselves and work it from there. And then, of course, you have the small enterprises and medium-sized enterprises. Why do we want to bring that out when we are talking about geopolitics? These small and medium enterprises need a level playing field and support from the administration to function and do well because of the disruptions happening in the geopolitics. We are seeing this right across the globe. It puts undue strain on these SMEs to take it forward. Now, for the Middle East region, for example, let's look at when we say geopolitics, what's happening in the Red Sea with the conflicts going on and with the Houthi disrupting the flow of merchant vessels through the Red Sea, through Bab el-Mandab. That is a serious problem. Why? Because it suddenly increases the freight rates, it increases the time. Of course, it has impacts running on the Suez Canal and economy of Egypt. So we have seen geopolitics have a huge impact. A few years ago, we saw, and which unfortunately this conflict is still happening, this is the Ukraine-Russia conflict, where the Black Sea was considered the grain bowl for the Mediterranean, where all the grain would flow from there to all the countries in the Mediterranean region. That got disrupted for some time. Part of it is back, but there is that food insecurity, energy insecurity, and economic insecurity. And all these start hitting our small and medium businesses in the area as to the challenge they face. I think that's the start I would make on this.
Yeah, thank you, Anuj, for this and giving a global insight from Middle East and globally. So there are many actually challenges facing the whole ecosystem, business ecosystem, and our focused supply chain, which is also part of every business. Even we talk about service or products, it's a part of any business or even humanitarian, all the aspects of business or humanitarian activities as well. So my second question here to Sudesh is, what strategies can SMEs implement to mitigate the impact of sanction on their supply chain, considering their limited capacity and I would say in business like power in managing or mitigating many types of risks?
First of all, thank you for having me here in this session. My regards to all, Captain Anuj, Shereen, and all the Heriot-Watt team. So, I mean, it's very appropriate that you're having this session at this time. We are seeing a sample of all the things we're talking about, like the geopolitical, the sanction part of it, and we have the tariff disruption as well. So what works for SMEs basically is that, first of all, this is nothing new. I mean, we have seen this happening before at different times, but of course, not always in all at the same time kind of thing. What's important for SMEs is to stay flexible. I mean, this is what we have seen in these kind of times. There is no one has got the crystal ball. There are no strategy that can be practiced and then you apply them at this time. It just stay flexible and look at what's workable in a most simple way. For example, one of the ways which we have seen since the COVID times, especially, is diversifying of the sourcing and routing. This thing came up in a big way at the COVID times when there were right, left, and center restrictions and bans coming from the local governments on the shipments, whether they'll be allowed to go or whether they'll be allowed to receive or not. So very important thing for SMEs to remember is that at all times, it's so good to be having a strategy on their alternate strategy on their sourcing and the routing part of it, If, for example, now what we're facing is that we have the tariff structure being applied for cargo originating from particular areas. So what can be the alternates? Captain Anuj mentioned about UAE as a good example. Cargo originating from Middle East, I understand for now for US trade is the lowest tariff applicable. Okay. Plus, the government bureaucracy is at its minimal in the Middle East because many of these places are all promoting businesses in big ways. So they are keeping the regime very simple to the basics. So it's like a good place to look at as example. There are many other places all over the world, irrespective to the people who are where they're based, to look at what could be the alternate point of diversion in case things change, Another important thing, which I'm from the logistics and shipping, so we always keep recommending people to look at their logistics partners in a little bit more depth. Because many of these partners, when they are spread globally, have the capability to organize such kind of diversions or hold back positions, free zones in Middle East could be a good point where cargoes can be held in a situation like this where you need to take stock of what's happening, how to go next. So this is like a very important point where carriers who the SMEs are working with, do they have the capability? Do they have the capacity? Can they take care of things? Are they informed? Do they know what to do in these kind of situations? Because our role is not just carrying the cargoes physically, it's also advisory. So we can help in a big way in to our customers on how to plan their business in a safe and long-term way,
Yeah, thank you.
So basically these are the things that I would say, and there is a lot more we can talk about, but for now I think this would do.
I was going to add.
I'm
please
sorry.
add. Sure.
Yeah, please
I was
go
going
ahead.
to say, Sudesh so well said that you got to diversify your supply chains. On the other side, there's this huge, complex network of sanctions, which SMEs get challenged because of their size, because of the resources they have. And maybe one thing which we can recommend for SMEs is so that you're not caught on the wrong foot by one of the larger regimes in the world related to sanctions, to have a very robust compliance program to make sure, because that is license to trade. We've seen it with some SMEs where inadvertently they've stumbled into the sanction areas, and then unfortunately that has hit them on their very existence itself. So in addition, where supply is concerned, I think a robust compliance program is a classic case. I mean, we are talking in shipping today of a gray fleet or a dark fleet. these ships which have been carrying oil outside of the sanction regimes or in a perceived violation of the sanction regimes. And the ships are changing names, they're changing flags, they're changing companies. To have clear visibility for a SME is very difficult. So their compliance, their KYC, when they're identifying a carrier as to where the fleet origin is and what that ship or that carrier operator has been doing before, can save them from unnecessary trouble or stumbling into an area which might challenge their existence. Thank you.
Yeah,
I just
thank you
thought that would be an interesting
Yeah.
one to bring out.
So, okay, I think I can add some more to what Captain Anuj just said. So, see, the shipping and logistics companies, the global ones especially, who are well organized, have also a very robust and strong compliance program running parallelly to keep the business ongoing. So what happens is for SMEs, it's like a good point to connect with those kind of service providers who are capable of even supporting them on the quality QHSSE compliance. So what happens is in the initial stages when they're trying to place their feet on the firm ground, they can take support and grow their business. So when they are good, then they can take charge of these responsibilities themselves, because there's quite a lot of value that needs to go into making these long-term and sustainable. So, I mean, that's a perspective that, even when they're trying to shortlist their suppliers, maybe this is an angle they should look at as well. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is very helpful input, and actually reflect how resilient they need to be, because they need always to monitor what is happening in the business ecosystem, where even to find the source of support. So it's not really staying or focusing on one thing, one strategy. Is always being open to diversify, find other suppliers, really be aware of. It's challenging to be aware of risk areas now with sanctions being, as you said, Anuj, complex network of sanctions to find way, but definitely collaboration with bigger or larger companies, working with them would be also required to support them. So my following question to both you, in what ways can SMEs adapt to changing tariffs and trade policies to maintain competitiveness? I think this is connected to previous answer somehow. I think part of the answer was connected to this, but mainly with tariff, maybe how this can be mitigated.
Sudesh, if I can go on this first. And I was going to say, I think like you highlighted that the Gulf region, the MENA region is perhaps one of the lowest tariffs running at the moment under the US tariff regime of about 10%. But talking about tariffs, they've existed for a long time, and there are direct tariffs and indirect tariffs which sort of restrict access to market. It's just a mechanism to restrict access to a particular market as played out in the global economic scenario. For some, it can be a challenge, but in that challenge, there may lie an opportunity. And like you identified in the GCC countries, in the Middle East, in UAE, they've made doing business so much more easier that as much as tariffs are changing and that compliance requirement is there, that alertness requirement and being nimble is required, the SMEs can also take advantage by tying up with larger groups where they may be sitting in an area which is disadvantaged. I can share, I'm actually dealing with a case right now where the manufacturing of the plastic pellets, polyethylene pellets, is actually more economical out of this region or in UAE than it is perhaps some of the other countries due to tariffs. And the larger groups are repositioning and realigning their supply chain into that space. So as much as tariffs are a challenge, they are also an opportunity. But at the end of the day, the SME has to be alert, has to be situationally aware, as we use that term, and be nimble to take advantage and convert that challenge into an actual asset in that space. Over to you, Sudesh.
Sure. I mean, well said, Anuj. I mean, so basically, it's about staying informed. Okay. And that's just half the battle. So, examples, for example, there are associations, trade bodies, business groups, where many of these things kind of get pre-discussed before they get implemented. Or even when they're being implemented, there are certain areas which can help the SMEs kind of manage their scenarios. So being a part of this, where you are having these informations available easily, will help. Other things is like simple, digital, this cost modeling tools. Nowadays, there are a lot of tools available which can be subscribed to, especially the ones that are doing a good job, which can help give alternate scenarios to the business people. They can look at what happens if kind of thing, which is also given now for businesses. It's good to have that kind of exercise every now and then to see how strong or how weak certain areas might be for them to function, So at the end of it, agility, access to right information is what will keep SMEs competitive, in our opinion, in a shifting trade environment, because it's more becoming like a moving goalpost. So whatever we can plan, whatever we can review, but maybe tomorrow what happens could be something in between what we have looked at.
Yes, thank you.
I was going to add, Sudesh, I think a classic example is your company. In addition to providing services, GAC provides that guidance because you have a global footprint. And that gives that advantage that for a small SME, small, micro or small size business enterprise, they may not have the resources to manage. And somebody like a tie-up with somebody like yourselves as advisors, as a larger supply chain story, may actually bring a huge amount of wealth and value to them for understanding the global scenario. As you said, the goalposts are continuously changing. So very well said. Thank you.
Yeah. For us, I mean, just to recap, since you mentioned it, like we are present there now in 52 countries. We started as a single desk business in Kuwait in 1956. So this has been the guiding principle, is where we have to be the expert on the local matters, each of the offices. And then this goes into region and then global. So we are there and we keep telling SMEs the same, that when you are into the business new or trying to establish yourself, go to the experts, take their support, take their help. And when the right time comes, then you invest in yourself. So for example, if somebody wants to have a warehousing of their own in let's say in UAE, our recommendation is use someone like of ours, work with us, sustain your business, bring it to the level where you can justify that kind of investment. Because managing these 3PLs and managing these logistics supply chain itself is a complete task. So maybe the priority of SME would be on developing their business and not trying to learn something totally new.
Very well said. Very well said.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Anuj and Sudesh. So this means SMEs need to conduct regular assessments of their supply chain costs and pricing strategies to remain competitive and engage in trade associations or larger partners or collaborators in the business, which can provide insight into policy changes, and also exploring free trade agreements which may offer opportunities to reduce tariff impacts. So I think by this, we covered the first theme on geopolitical sanction and tariff disruption and impact on SMEs, and the strategies which MSCs adopt to mitigate this impact. And now we'll move another dimension of or source of pressure on SMEs, which is related to sustainability and regulatory pressure, which we see this growing in business environment, which is impacting everyone, but obviously our focus today SMEs, because they are more vulnerable to this pressure for different aspects of sustainability and new regulations, which requires every party in business environment to comply with. And this obviously different in each region, in each geographical context. So in general, what are the key sustainability initiatives that SMEs should prioritize to align with global net zero goals. If I can start with you, Anuj, on this, please.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. And sustainability is very close to my heart. And I actually break this into two sort of groups. On one side, sustainability is really looking from external, but internally to an SME, it is ESG. And understand governance, understand social, understand the environmental requirements, and actually doing a known adoption can make the SME more profitable by making it more efficient, better decision making, improved governance, an empowered workforce, and better compliance with regulatory structures related to the environment. That is the sustainability angle. But then small businesses, especially in our supply chain, get challenged as to what metric do they follow, what system do they follow. And we always like to suggest to them, please look at your materiality. Try to understand what your customers want or what the regulators want from you, and do those first before you go into a voluntary structure. As an SME, you're always strapped for cash. You have to watch your cash flow. Profitability is important, but cash flow for a small business is even more important. So with those in mind, that's what would make you sustainable, is to understand what's the regulatory requirement, what's the stakeholder requirement, and what your customers require. But there are some low-hanging fruit which small businesses can implement, which would make them more efficient and give them a larger shadow than what their real size is. And when we now roll over, let's say, to the global net zero goals, as we've seen in the last 12 months, those goals are changing. We thought they were static, they were written in stone in certain ways, but we are seeing that those definitions are changing. Countries, regions, stances are changing. As recent as last week, we had the IMO's MEPC, where they were trying to put in that additional levy or tax on merchant marine, on merchant cargoes around the globe. And it seemed to have failed, where it's been to be reevaluated between 1 and 4 years from today. So what it's trying to say is some things which we had taken for given are now changing. However, if a company or a SME is looking at sustainability point of view and optimizing their usage, following the stakeholders and the regulatory structures, then they automatically get guided towards this net zero goals. Because the SME is too small. That's how I feel about it. Because in UAE, there's a compliance requirement, for example. And each company of a certain size, certain emissions has to comply. Otherwise, the fines are as high as 2 million AED for non-compliance. So there is a lot of, trying to understand your local situational awareness and stakeholder requirement while still trying to improve and become more efficient. Thank you.
So thank you, Anuj. Just we are now moving from initiatives on voluntary work to more, compliance with regulations. So which make everyone has to do it. It's not an option. It's no longer an option to have these sustainability initiatives or, to comply with it. And not all, it's again part of the organizational culture to have this mindset of how to be efficient while implementing or complying with these sustainability goals or these new regulations. So it's just this mindset that needs to be embedded in the business. So Sudesh, would you like to add to this?
Yeah, and I can just try to make it a little bit more simple as the logistics companies do or the shipping companies do. See, sustainability, when we use this word, it sounds like a big, expensive word, but it doesn't have to be. For smaller companies, just start small and scale. So practical steps like reducing the usage of fuel, optimizing routes, switching to recyclable packaging materials. These are some of the simple ones that can be done by anyone. Then the other one is that, as I said before, SMEs could leverage this with their logistics partners, companies like ours, and there are many others who have been working under ISO, under the ESG frameworks that have been outlined. So smaller players can benefit without taking on the investments or compliance burden on their side. Our teams, companies like ours would do it anyhow, because we have to make sure that we are coming up to the standards of the local authorities, regional regulations, global regulations. So as they are starting, as they're in this journey in the early part of it, they can just come and use those partners who can support them on this. So in many countries, as Anuj mentioned, especially UAE is a good example, governments are even offering concessions in terms of government procedures. They can fast track for certain companies who can demonstrate their compliance standards and, like things what they're doing. So the most important thing for SMEs would be transparency and incremental performance. Need not go and do it in a month or in a year. Maybe it needs longer time. It's okay, but just be transparent. It's not just about taking a regulatory box saying, okay, we are compliant. It's like a real competitive advantage, because many organizations are now sourcing businesses from companies who are up in the scale. So if I want to be participating in certain kind of businesses, I have to be up to speed on the ESG part of it. And if I can demonstrate, pricing is not really a constraint. I mean, again, I come back to UAE because that's where I've spent a lot of my working years. They have these in-country valuation programs, where a certain percentage will give the partners who are participating in the bids a higher ranking if they have track records.
Yeah. Thank you. This was very helpful, focusing on simplification. Not everything needs to be a huge investment to achieve something. So just focusing on reducing waste, improving energy efficiency, and adopting sustainable sourcing practices, and understanding the local context, exactly as you said. What sources of support, what platforms they can use to learn and enhance their awareness about what needs to be done, and always collaboration in this context is required to get the support and to achieve this sustainability or complying with the regularity requirements under the sustainability here. So moving to thank you, Anuj, especially for your own input on this. I would like to move to the next question on how can SMEs navigate the increasing regulatory pressure. Yes, we talk about current regulation, and but this will not stop at one point. We will face new regulations, which means we are not setting goals to just meet what is required now, but we need to be able to scale up with these initiatives towards sustainability. I think we had discussion before that some regulations, when it comes, it might be challenging to businesses and maybe SMEs more, and they find that just to pay the fine might be for them more convenient to mitigate or to comply, or just take a box, is not taking it as part of their strategy or to implement, not considering that another regulation might come and they need to comply. So taking this, I would say, negative approach that we just pay fine just if we are not able to meet the requirements. So how can SMEs navigate the increasing regulatory pressure related to environmental sustainability in their supply chain? So if I may start with you, I think for this question, I'd like to start with Sudej, please.
Yeah, Shereen, sure. So, I mean, as I said, the main thing is that, see, all businesses, first of all, have to be sustainable. And when I say sustainable, is not just in the economical side of it. Obviously, that's what is required. But in terms of what they're giving back to the community, what they're giving back to the industry. So there are a lot of regulations where, as Anuj mentioned, that there might be fines applicable, which might be a hindrance for companies. But as you mentioned, that some companies might think that, okay, we pay the fine and we move on. But for me, as a consumer, okay, a question is, would I like to be dealing with those kind of organizations who are not able to fulfill their obligations and are just trying to take shortcuts to be there in business? So this is like a moment of truth kind of thing where we have to ask this question ourselves. If I'm SME, would I like to be going that way? I don't think that's a very good approach to take. Yes, emergencies can happen. People have to go through that procedure. Yes. But at the end of it, the intent has to be clear that it's on delivering value in an honest way, in a sustainable way. That's what is needed. And that's why I keep recommending the same, that people don't have to be experts on everything. But they look for partners, they look for advisors, they look for consultants who can be their doctors in those moments, carry them through it till they can recuperate, become strong, and then carry on their own things. So a big focus for SMEs have to be on delivering honest value. That is what is important. And we have seen, I mean, I have seen this enough in many places, that where the governments are having initiatives where they're interacting with the businesses to understand what their concerns are, what are the holding points, where they are having issues, and then try to make it workable. Like even this revaluation of the IMO program, where they're now giving you a time between 1 to 4 years to look at all those targets, because it was going too fast, in my opinion. Because if we have to keep everybody on board, we need a little breathing time. This has not happened in a year or in few decades. It has been happening since long. So to rectify this also, there has to be a reasonable time. So in my suggestion, I think that's what everyone has to look at, is in a way which is honest and transparent. People to work together, and whenever they have a hindrance, they go back to the experts to ask advice what to do.
Yeah, I think this just tell us that we need the proactive mentality, the proactive mindset, the visionary leadership who can see things in the future, not just working on a reactive mode on what's happening, and then I start thinking what I'm going to do. So this again, back to strategic leadership, I would say even more entrepreneurial approach that, innovate new ways of doing things. Doesn't need to be complicated, but simplifying what we do, how we really identify, we deal like, applying this 80-20 rule, which means, we deal with many suppliers, many stakeholders, but who are more important to us and can support us and can help us achieving something. So it's just really is very dynamic now environment. The SMEs need to be managed in a very dynamic way. They cannot be static. They need really to always think what is happening, what we can do about it, and build this culture, like this mindset for everyone in the business to understand what they need to do. So again, everything back to the leadership, top-bottom approach, bottom-up approach. So it's just understanding how we operate and where we operate and with whom we operate and with whom we should partner. So questions that need to be always asked, mainly for SMEs, as still, very vulnerable to, as Anuj mentioned, cash flow and, these basic things that they need still to maintain while doing this. And this will differentiate those who are really successful in running their business and find new ways of doing things, and those who maybe keep just respond to things. As you exactly mentioned, we cannot continue working paying fines for regulations. It's not sustainable for the business. The business will not exist. Thank you, Sudesh, for your input.
Sorry, if I may just add to what you said,
Sure.
This comes to my mind. In the WCO, the World Customs Organization, they have a program called AEO, Authorized Economic Operator. So this status is granted to the organizations who can demonstrate their foolproof method, which means the complete process of business that is handling there is in line with the local regulations, regional regulations, international regulations, and there's no chance of anyone playing around with that. So what happens? Yeah. So what happens is, this itself is like testing the process, testing the systems, testing the people, testing the layout. So this then connects with the delivery part of it. So for example, in any business, what we realize which involves a supply chain or any kind of deliveries, the first mile and the last mile. These are the two critical moments when either things tell you that everything has been perfect, got right, or you know that you have issues and what issues. So these are some of the methodologies that can be applied to how we are looking at the day-to-day business, and carrying them through. Yeah.
I think, Sudesh, the other thing is you've got this GCC-wide initiative on the Common Sustainable Finance Framework for green bonds for small and medium enterprises. So if a company wants to go this way, the leadership is committed, the governance is committed, then there are avenues available and opportunities available for them to do it at a more cost-effective economic way rather than go the fine way, as we call it, which can have negative options, exactly like you said. As a consumer, do you want to deal with a company who regularly pays fines?
We actually had in this audit, when they do the audit for AEOs, this is the important point they look at, saying how many times has this company ended up paying fine? What kind of issues they face when we are working with those kind of AEO people who are applying for the AEO accreditations? And so this is like a point where they say, okay, if you have too many of these fine scenarios, then obviously the company is not compliant and they cannot support. So this is like, these are those footprints or the steps where whatever we create comes back to us. So if we have been compliant, honest, at least the intention has been there, it saves us.
I think one thing is universal in this SME world or in this compliance world, especially when we are relating it to environmental sustainability, is measure to manage, meaning all companies, irrespective of their size, must measure their and record their emissions, scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, to understand what their footprint is. Irrespective of size and how you operate, that's perhaps a given for right across all the companies there are.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I like what you said, Anuj, here about measuring. I think it is, again, it's coming from external forces. It's like, we look at SWOT analysis when we look at our sources of opportunities and threats from outside. So instead of looking at this as a threat for the business and we need to respond, I think it's better to develop our sustainability strategy and build the KPIs for what we do and record what we achieve, so we know what's the next step for us and how we align this with these external forces that we need to comply with. So this kind of alignment, internal with external forces, will move us from having this as a weakness for the business currently to be strength, strength for our business and comply with these requirements. So I know we talked about the importance of collaboration and partnership to help SMEs achieve their sustainability objectives, while at the same time, which is the most challenge for them, managing cost. So who do you think, if we, as I said earlier, we need to look at the 80-20 rule. We have different stakeholders we work with. When we think about partnership, when it comes to sustainability for SMEs, who are the key partners in this journey with them?
Great point. And for me, so in the large number of SMEs which we've had the privilege of dealing with, we find one common factor with all of them, that there is a lack of residual knowledge and expertise. So my first advice to an SME would be upskill. Invest in your people, get the skills right so that they understand what's coming in that space. So partnerships would come later on once you have upskilled. And there is enough resources available if you're looking at whether it's from the government or quasi-government organizations or associations, professional body associations, or companies like Sudesh's company or our company, who sit in that space where they have expertise niches. And if that matches, that's what you're looking for to get you started as an SME on your journey. And so well said by Sudesh that, you don't have to make a big splash. You can start with a modest budget and get on the journey. And then depending on your cash flow, resources, customer demand, regulatory pressure, you can then decide how much to put in. Because the consumer likes to see a vendor or a provider at least making an effort for compliance in the right direction, which may not be perfect, but rather than somebody who is blatantly not following it and just paying a fine. So that's how I would compare this.
Thank you. So Sudesh, so based on your experience, who are the key partners?
See, for us, basically, it's the carriers who remain the main guys who will actually physically carry these materials. Then there are quality advisors who are auditing our processes, who are checking that we are doing these tasks as we have said independently. And our management, for example, quality function and the ESG function goes straight to the top. So there's no in between reporting to the middle range or the lower range, which basically means that whatever is seen, noted, it just goes straight to the eyes and ears of the people who actually it can make the difference in the process. So the senior most management is basically making sure that everything is delivered in the right quality, in the right process, in the right way to the customers as what their commitment is for. So no manipulations, no playing around, no shortcuts can be accepted in this. And this is where we are looking at also when we're dealing with the carriers, we do the same. We go for those guys who we see that same spirit, same enthusiasm, same approach, where they're trying to do their best, to deliver the best, and nothing in between.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. If it's not happening internally, it's just no point to seek partnership to achieve something. So it needs to be part of the business effort and, values, and implemented on a daily basis. And exactly as you said, transparency. And as Anuj mentioned, like real initiatives or intention really to make change and to comply and to even take it from business perspective, just to add value to the business and optimize operations, and not only for purpose of complying with regulations.
So we have a comprehensive company-wide program for vendor approval, where all the vendors have to go through that process of sharing with us their complete details on the licensing part of it, on their quality part of it, on the staff training part of it, on how do they respond to the emergency scenarios. And this is an independent team which is approving the vendors all across the group. And likewise, I'm aware that many other organizations have a similar program where they are able to evaluate whether these are the right partners for us to work with.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a network, it's a supply chain. So achieving these initiatives cannot happen in isolation. It needs to involve every party and commitment from internally senior management and all employees and all the external partners working with us. So thank you so much. So I think now we covered.
Shereen, one more point before, because the important thing is staff training. Okay, so for the compliance perspective, it's mandatory for each of the staff to go through the training every annual way. If it's like for the new guys, it's complete elaborate one, and then for the guys who've done this before, it's like a refresher. So each of the person is made aware of what are our quality standards, what are our commitment to the customers, what are the obligations, embargoes. So, I mean, there are so many things happening worldwide. So many changes are coming in. So it's now more than ever. It is very critical that every one of us are on the same page, because our customers are approaching us as subject matter expert. So it is our job to ensure that we are up to speed. So these are the ways in which we try and ensure that we are having our core element, our staff on the same page, our vendors who are second part of it on the same page. And then, of course, we also partner with authorities in many countries where we are part of their test groups. So when there's any new regulation supposed to be implemented, or when there's a new plan to come up, we are being the front companies where they could come and test those implementations and make corrections. So these are the ways in which we try and deliver value to the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think here monitoring and keep, watching what's happening, evaluating, like taking risk management approaches that, identifying, highlighting if anything has, so we are ready, we have what if scenarios in this situation. So it's a complete, system to follow. There's not one action, it's everything connected and need to be also well understood by the business and everyone in the business, so they understand the culture and this awareness of importance for the business and also external, responding to external requirements. So I think we cover now sustainability and this pressure of regulation, this dimension, but moving to the last theme on something common for all businesses, very important for all businesses, digitization. So we talk about digitization, digital transformation. So, however, the reality shows on my just experience or even, from interaction with industry, not always highly automated system or digitized systems the best. It's again about which is more how we optimize operation, could be more simpler approach to optimize what we do. Maybe technology or automation is not the best way to do things. So we are not really introducing the theme as digitization is a magic stick for businesses. Everything will be perfect if we have it, but really is about making the right decision or what's appropriate for us. Understanding our digital maturity, our readiness to implement things, and how also to be able to be aligned with our partners in the supply chain. Sometimes we have to implement something just to be still relevant to this network. So my first question to Anuj, what digital tools and technology are most effective for SMEs looking to enhance their supply chain resilience?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So when we mentioned earlier on the emission side and we said measure to manage, digitization and digital tools are exactly in that space. There is so much of technological development where supply chain is concerned, right from warehousing to condition of cargo to tracking of cargo or forecasting. There are systems. How does a supply chain become resilient? By enabling real-time disruption forecasting and transparent tracking. That's what digitization is about. And these are the digital tools we want, which would be most effective, because what we're trying to achieve is resilience, is that reliability to our customer. And there are, again, different regions offer different trades offer different, but at the same time, digitization scheme where you are actually monitoring real time and then trying to forecast, being ahead of the curve and being proactive in a transparent way, which helps the supply chain. And these are shared not just by the supply chain providers, but also to their customers. So it's an ecosystem which works in partnership, where as much as the SME and supply chain players support this and carry the ball, it's even the receiver at the other end is seeing full transparency to allow them to track this forward and plan their action in a proactive way. That's the best resilience I can think of.
Yeah, thank you, Anuj, for your input here. And before I also invite Sudesh to this, but what I see usually when I meet the industry, colleagues in industry forums, what I see we see that not all digital applications are successful in terms of, even in terms of statistics, high percentage of these new initiatives are not, I wouldn't say successful, but not achieving really the best or the expected outcome. So back to the implementation, how we decide on what's appropriate for us. And what I found that most of the business maybe see a company implementing some digital tools, let's do same and see, and they found completely different result, or they don't achieve same. So if and now I invite you, Sudej, in to answer this question, how you ensure that this is the right tool for the business?
Okay, Shereen. So let me begin with this, saying that let's differentiate between the need and want. Because there is loads of stuff available out there and that can do the analysis. And we can get into from this to analysis paralysis. Again, is that required? I don't think so. For SMEs, the priorities are very clear. Okay, so when we hear this word data analytics, we often think of people having complicated systems or maybe huge IT systems, but not necessary. At SME level, I would say they should start much smaller and scale as they need, not as they want, but as they need. Okay, even a simple dashboard which can track shipments, delays, route, demurrage, or highlight patterns. The purpose is to be able to see something which is not visible. So analytics will help you understand what's the thing happening behind. And time is of essence. So something which can happen fast, quick, now is what is needed. So this is where, I would come from. I would say, again, get into with associates and partners who already have that capability and make them share those informations with you. So if that can happen, the cost will go down. In the time, which is of high value, stays with the SMEs to focus on their business. So people can, of course, now plug into various digital programs that are available. What is needed is basically inventory management. What is needed is cargo tracking. What is needed is the status and performance. So these could still be derived through the updates coming from the service providers or the network or the auditors that you're working with. So my point of view or our perspective remains that it's about focusing on what is critical to the business. And not getting into, because there's no time. For example, as you said, there's too many tools available, and we adopt those tools, and then we find that they're not delivering exactly what you want. So no, time is wasted, money is wasted. Again, you go for a new research. No need. Look for the partners, look for the people who have been successful, and just either deal with them or copy what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, this takes us back to the same thing about, thinking about it from a strategic view instead of individual initiatives at operational level, which is not connected to the business strategy. So SMEs need to have these digital business strategies that, every initiative should contribute to. So we understand why exactly what you said, Sudej, about the need. We need to do so because it will help us to achieve this objective of this digital strategy. So everything is linked and connected and add value to the business, not the other way around. I think it's a challenge when business face challenge when they implement some application just based on trying to understand others' business without understanding their business. So they are really in trouble. So first,
Well
one more thing so I can add here is that also habits. We know that in the times to come, it's going to be getting more technical, more system-based. So what do? The teams, the people who are working together have to start making that habit of looking at the data, looking at those decisions that they're making and link them, So make that habit where we are able to look at the data, look at the decisions, connect them and make things happen that way. So what happens? Maybe it's a small step. Each day, maybe a few decisions. And then you will find gradually that the capabilities in the long run are significantly highly, valuable. So it's all about mindset. It's basically about mindset, not just about technology.
So true, so true. I was going to say there are services now available from experts where it is a no cure, no pay, meaning they have this big data optimizing tools where they only take money or you only have to pay them money when you save money using their tools, which was from your status quo. So there is a clear marked improvement. If there is no improvement, there is no cost. So there are different models available like this. And then again, the governments and the business associations are also putting these tools out there. So there are these resources. But like you rightly said, it's about that mental framework of learning, of upskilling, of understanding that data is there, technology is coming, IoT is there, and it's best measure to manage the risk to get resilient.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about always exploring opportunities and understanding our needs and how to satisfy these needs as a business, exploring new ways, find the right sources or service providers who can help us, who can support us in this journey. So, always, again, I think it's back to leadership. Leadership for any business is the key for success or failure. So finding the way. And back to the point, Sudesh mentioned about data analytics or, using this data for supporting decision making. Relying on these tools, how this transition happen when we implement a new tool which give us the data, and then we need to integrate how this works, how this integration happen, which transitioning from traditional way of making decision on something to incorporate the data. And I think always business like making like feasibility or proving the concept. If we use this tool, really this will have, as Anuj mentioned, about result. So let's judge by result. So bringing these data analytics. So this may change the way we do things, changing our management practice to incorporate these tools.
If I may add to what you said, is like basically, see, analytics gives us a clear perspective of what worked or what didn't work. So the simple rule of thumb is whatever went well, replicate it, multiply, and whatever didn't work, one more way of not doing that way. So this is what Einstein said, or the scientists have said before, that saying one more way, you eliminate saying, no, you don't do like this. So for us, is like when we do the analytics, we're looking at, okay, what is a value which is positive? Can this be scaled? Can this be replicated? Yes, go ahead. Something which we found not good, take that off. So also it helps us to understand what's coming next. So it's not just like the historic data, yes, but for the future also, with the option that we have, we keep hearing about this digital twin, sandbox, and other methods in the IT world, where we can replicate the business scenarios and see the outcome. So if it is not to our expectations or our intended plans, obviously then twisting and all, which will not have as much consequences as we would if we are trying to learn in the real life.
Yeah, I just want to add here, business intelligence, very important, these tools, but this will never replace the human intelligence. Because again, I might get numbers that if I'm not able to interpret properly, I might still make wrong decision. So it's about really still the understanding of the whole context of these numbers, not only, machine or, a computer giving me data and seems positive, so I just follow. For I think the interpretation of what we get is what will help in informing decision making.
Yeah. Best way to describe AI is actionable insight. All the data analytics we do has to give us AI, which I would say is actionable insight, which helps you plan and actually move rather than garbage in and garbage out. We can throw millions of numbers, but they won't make sense and they really won't give you a benefit going forward. So well said. Thanks.
Yeah. So let me just to tell one more thing here, which is a question everybody has nowadays. And is that okay? AI will take away jobs? No. AI can do certain part of the jobs 1,000 times better. But there's no AI that can do the full job end to end 1,000 times better. So there is always that element which will be human, which will be done by humans in a better way than the AI. And that's why the guys who will lose the jobs are the one who will not work with AI. So it is simple that whoever wants to have a job in the future would have to be compatible, up to speed with the technologies. There's no way out of this.
Yeah, and this is why back to that, having the knowledge is still the key to judge AI itself. Yes. To make decision about what AI gave us is just to us to make decision about. We cannot make it if we don't have the knowledge. And knowledge cannot be based on one source like AI. What AI tells me this is a source of knowledge. It will be a mix of really practical experience with real research on things and understanding the foundations, the basics first, not just the outcome. So I think this is why it's really important that we still focus on building knowledge, not rely on tools, because tools will not make decision for us. Still, human will make the decision and will be accountable for the decision. So knowledge will be still key. We talk too much about skills, which is great. However, knowledge is really still key to when it comes to decision. So my final question to keep some time for Q&A if we have, is just, when we implement these digital tools, definitely businesses face some challenges. General challenges may be common, like people will fear, will have the fears of losing their jobs, exactly as you said, replacing their roles, especially if it's routine job. But also how we can overcome, these challenges. What would be the advice for SMEs to overcome challenges for digital implementation or transformation?
Oh, so well said. I would say we've already spoken about upskilling and training, having that mindset change that they're ready to learn, they're ready to work it there. Remember, SMEs have another problem. They have these legacy systems. And as we bring in new technology, that backward integration, we should not be throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Meaning we should be able to integrate that history, that learning, that institutional knowledge, and bring it to weigh in on technology which we bring in. And of course, remember, technology is not a basket of roses. It comes with huge cybersecurity concerns. And the hurdles that creates, that's another education cycle. We are hearing this so much. And also appreciate at the end of the day, we're dealing with people. People are employees. And there is this resistance to change. So how do we socialize it? How do we do the management of change to introduce these technologies to the upskilling, to that working is key because we're dealing with people.
See, if I may add to what Captain said, is like, see, it's about people are like, you can say, like double-sided sword. People are also the enabler of the systems. So it's the people who will make things work. But at the same time, resistance can slow it down or maybe not make it work. So in our industry, what we have seen, in our company, what we have seen is basically we have these small test groups where we work them through the changes or the new plans implementation that's going to happen. So we familiarize these key people with what's coming up and make them understand that this is at the end of the day is to add value to what they're doing. It's upskilling what they're trying to do. And when that is happening, there's no fear on any changes coming up. The fear is, as what Anuj mentioned, we have a lot of these legacy systems, legacy people who have been doing certain things a certain way. So for them, it's like when you say change, they think, okay, now there's a problem. So if that can be turned around in a way where we can make them, or bring them up to speed with what the intentions are, how the system is going to work, it is basically going to empower them, then that makes a difference.
So well said.
This is where it comes from. Is upskilling is that's the way forward. Yeah. And sorry, just to bring it back again to our industry thing is like not to invent the wheel. Like work with guys who can take you through in the initial stages and then replicate.
That's it. It's not rocket science. Supply chain is not rocket science. Sorry,
the investment is always constrained for SMEs. Huge investment, but we already discussed that you don't need really to start with big things, like start piloting small project and then scale up. Is this based on your strategy? It's not just trying things. Have clear strategy, what you want to achieve, prove the concept, and enhance the readiness for these projects before you just implement or introduce something, surprise your employees what something is going to happen, so enhance the readiness, so reduce the resistance. So I think we covered this dimension now. Thank you very much. I hope we have time if we have questions. I'm not sure if we have questions to the panel.
Can I start with a question, please?
Yes, please, Nilakshi, go ahead.
Yeah. So my question is actually, this is really interesting session. Thank you very much for Captain Anuj, Mrs. Udesh and Shereen. So my question is about SME startups. So what type of actions has been taken into build up their awareness about these trainings, quality or regulatory issues or consultancy available and this and that?
Oh, so well said. And so basically, how do startups in that SME world survive? Because they have to graduate from a startup to a SME, where they are a sustainable business and they're trying to make money. First, it's just an idea which they try to bring to market. And I'm dealing with one of them right now. And the challenge is bypassing systems becomes a standard operating procedure for a startup because they have to be super efficient to survive in the little money they have to bring that proof of concept before they can bring it to market, get funding, and then get converted into SME. And that's why that governance factor is so key. The strategy and governance factor. I think Dr. Shereen highlighted this many times by saying that the key growth elements from a startup to a SME are related to good governance and good compliance. If they can have robust governance and robust compliance, then it automatically graduates and not only to an SME, but maybe to a full-scale large enterprise. They can become unicorns as well, provided they have these elements in them. And I think history's proven us on that. We've seen all the big IT, what we say the big seven at the moment. Most of them started in a garage or a workshop. And today their economies, their turnovers are bigger than countries. So it's the governance element, the people element, the compliance element, which takes them to that stage. Thank you. So Desh, you would like to opine?
Yeah, if I may just add, I mean, we have mentioned this several times. It's basically stay informed, adaptable, and collaborative. Hold the hands of key stakeholders who can bring you up to speed in the shortest possible time. I mean, that's all I can suggest. Because these are the variable cases. Each one is trying to do a different product, different services. So, but in general, whatever is relevant or whoever is relevant for the industry, get on to those guys and understand how we can work long term. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So if we don't have more questions, I would just ask you both, Anuj and Sudesh, to give us, based on, back to our main topic, navigating supply chain challenges for SMEs during conflicted times. What would be the key advice? One key advice, main advice or takeaway that SMEs can take from this panel.
Sudesh, would you like to start? I'll follow you till now. I've done it a few times. So why don't you start and I'll add to you.
Yeah, so for example, from my side, see, resilience for SMEs, it comes from agility, their adaptability, and not from their size. They need to stay prepared, proactive, flexible, and that would make their journey easier. Yeah.
So well said. They have to be nimble. They've just got to work it. But I feel a few things important, I think we highlighted earlier, is make sure your governance is, if you had to say ESG in priority point of view, it should be the other way around. It should be governance as number one, your people as number two. And remember, the environmental compliance is a license to trade, a license to exist, because it's regulatory based. Upskilling is very important. Continuously investing in your people is very important. Be nimble. Don't go in for big projects. Test bed them out. Try them out small. learn from others. Supply chain is not rocket science. It's been done before successfully, and we continue to evolve into that. And technology can be enabler if you're choosing the right tools. Choose good partners, collaborate, learn, educate. I think, and being nimble, like Suresh said, I think these are all successful, and there are so many great examples in this space.
Yeah. So Professor, in the logistics sector, like our job is to make the journey easy, to simplify complexity and keep trade moving. Yeah, no matter what's happening around us.
So true.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your input. Maybe it's kind of, to be honest, just a recap of what you posted. So I think key takeaways today is just adaptability is crucial. So SMEs must remain agile and adaptable to navigate these complexities of geopolitical tension, sanctions, and tariff changes. And sustainability is a priority. So through aligning the sustainability goals, not only meet regulatory demands, but also enhance brand reputation and customer loyalty and efficiency, so adding value to the business. When it comes to technology, so also leveraging technology, embracing digital tools and data analytics, it can significantly improve supply chain resilience and operational efficiency. Collaboration, it was, I think, the common theme in all the themes we covered today. Collaboration is key. Building partnerships can provide SMEs with the resources and knowledge needed to tackle challenges and achieve sustainability objectives. And finally, as Sudesh and Anuj post, you highlighted continuous learning. So staying informed about the industry trends, regulations, and technological advancement is essential for SMEs to thrive in rapidly changing environment. And also what Nilakshi asked about is really it also enhances their awareness. Keep informed about the sources of support. So you might not be aware that you can be supported. So find the way to get the support from the right stakeholders in your ecosystem. I think this concludes our discussion on this panel. Thank you so much, Anuj and Sudesh, for the highly insightful input for this panel. And thank you, Nilakshi, for inviting us to this series. It was really a pleasure contributing to this. And wishing you all the best and success in the coming webinars. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shereen. And
thank you,
Anuj, for involving me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudesh. Absolute pleasure. Lovely discussion. Dr. Shereen, always a pleasure to interact. And Dr. Nilakshi, thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.
Amazing discussion, stimulating discussion. Thank you.
Yeah. Of course. Thank you very much. So on behalf of the organizing committee from the online group from Heriot-Watt University, so I extend our deepest gratitude to our esteemed panel speakers, Captain Anuj, Mr. Sudesh, and Dr. Shereen for sharing their invaluable insights during today's webinar on navigating supply chains in SME during conflicted times. So your experience, real-world perspectives, and thoughtful discussions have shed a light of the challenges and opportunities facing SME in these uncertain times. So your contribution have not only enriched our understanding, but also inspired actionable strategies for resilience and innovation. Thank you for your time, your wisdom, and your commitment to empower SME community. And also, I would like to pay my sincere gratitude for all the attendees. And let us continue this conversation and work together toward building stronger, more adaptive supply chains. Thank you very much. Have a good day to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Safe travels. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.